Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and we are joined by Kenneth Ameduri, founder of Crush the Street, and I've been looking forward to talking with you for some time, so thank you for joining us.
Hey, Josh, it's nice to finally connect. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. So let's talk about artificial intelligence as we are seeing this futuristic technology grow at a rapid pace. One major concern is, government ownership over AI technology, which is obviously pretty concerning from a technocratic standpoint. But with that said, there's a lot of good on the free market that AI can provide. Can you go into the benefits of artificial intelligence?
Well, you know what? I don't know if it's so much like, hey, you gotta love it or you gotta hate it type of thing. It's the free market at this point. Technology is moving forward just like it always has. And with technology, things get more efficient. And I'll give you an example. In the 1800s, what 80 or 90% of the economy was agriculture. It took that much energy just to grow food in the US economy. But today, now that's numbers 2%. That means we've gotten, 80, 90% more efficient at growing food using technology and having the rest of the economy being able to do something else. So artificial intelligence is things moving forward. And I believe there's going to be a lot of disruptions in the process. And just like something as natural as a tornado, just because it's natural doesn't mean it's not going to be very disruptive for certain industries. Certainly, if you're someone who's driving a truck and you have driverless cars coming your way, you probably don't want to be completely depending on that one industry for the next few decades to come, because technology might completely sweep you out of your job. But technology is going to make things cheaper as time goes on. And we're going to be in a world where, we don't know what we don't know. And there's going to be industries and indirect industries that come about because of technologies getting more efficient and opening up new frontiers for people to work in. I think it's estimated that by year 2030, $15 trillion is going to be generated because of artificial intelligence. The opportunity is absolutely huge. And, machine learning is going to mean machine earning. And this has a lot of implications going forward. It's going to go down so many different rabbit holes. I mean, we could talk about healthcare. We could talk about analytics. We could talk about, just personal assistance regarding your specific job. I mean, we have that nowadays with Alexa. Yeah. And your phone. You talk
Sure.
into a set my alarm for tomorrow. I mean, this is now opportunities that, the middle class has access to make their lives easier, that was otherwise needed to be purchased, by human labor. You had to purchase, someone to do what Alexa does. But now you can do that for $100 or $200, right?
Yeah. With just analyzing that point for a second, Kenneth, I'm just thinking about, for example, infant mortality. The statistics are a far cry from what they used to be back in 1990, for example. And I mean, we can't say, well, that isn't affected or hasn't been affected by artificial intelligence and technology. Obviously, it has. Obviously, people are healthier on one side of the argument. And I wanted to get into this a little bit with you because obviously, one of the claims, for example, with overpopulation is that there won't be enough food, but meanwhile, the more there are people, the more is produced, etc. And I wanted to go into that with artificial intelligence because one of the biggest claims against AI is that it is a job killer. But the reality is much different. According to a study showcased on Zero Hedge recently, over 50% of all jobs that exist today were not even known 20 years ago. So how does artificial intelligence affect employment?
I mean, it's absolutely huge. The negative to this is I believe that 50% of jobs currently in the U.S. will be at risk of being displaced by AI going forward. But I believe the opportunities that are going to come about because of AI are going to be absolutely huge. I mean, you look at just historically what we've seen. Cars, for instance, the car industry displaced horse and buggy, but now you have people working on cars, and all of the jobs that were created because, actual cars with motors now exist. And the cost of this came down largely because of all the infrastructure that was built. And then you have the maintenance of the cars. And then really indirectly, things that people weren't even considering was now you have hotels and travel largely booming because people now have cars to travel efficiently. Again, something that nobody was considering as this technology progressed. And, now in fast food, I mean, think about that, right? I mean, the world got a little more unhealthy when the car was invented, because number one, people weren't walking anymore. And now, you have these fast food companies opening up drive-throughs all over the place. Nobody was thinking about that when the car was being built. But yeah, the opportunity that's going to come about because of AI is absolutely astronomical. Look at Airbnb. You have 5 million listings at any one time, and 300,000 listings a day that are being leased out. And this is all being coordinated by artificial intelligence. And this is something that, people weren't thinking about, or they say, oh, artificial intelligence is going to kill our jobs. But what we have is AI creating cheaper travel for people who want to stay in an Airbnb. And then you have all these business owners now, people now able to rent their house out or rent their room out, which weren't able to do so before. And now you have these scooters, all over these cities where people can, run around town in these scooters, and AI is coordinating that, and Uber, and so many different things. And, you mentioned infant mortality. This is going down the rabbit hole, but they're talking about chipping people and merging AI with the human brain. And there's a lot we can talk about with that. But, giving up some of your privacy, which I know we're going to have a lot of issues with, for the sake of being monitored. I mean, you might save your life. You might be on the verge of having a stroke or on the verge of having a heart attack, but you have something on you that is in real time monitoring your health. And this is coming. And so, I mean, people are going to start living longer, assuming AI doesn't get out of control and start killing us, right? That's the worry, right?
Yeah.
But, on a practical level, technology is going to make our lives better in certain instances.
Yeah, I've talked with people that personally I think are a little bit crazy, talking about cutting off their arms and replacing them with robot arms and, putting chips in their brain. And I say, hey, do whatever you want. As long as the government's not forcing me to put a chip in me, then, hey, whatever people want to do with their life, go right ahead. Hey, want to be a guinea pig? It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I don't know. I don't think we're far along yet to know. But to be entirely honest, I'm not super impressed by the current stage of AI robots we see in the news. Whether the government likely has a far more advanced bot is another issue altogether, but which we won't go into today. But how early along are we in the field of AI? Because when I see these robots on TV that are talking to people, they clearly are only as smart as a programmer that programs them, right?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Maybe you saw the clip of Google's AlphaGo play against Lee Strobel, or whatever his name was. And he was the best player at this ancient Chinese game of Go. And the reason this was very, very significant was that this game has more combinations than there are atoms on Earth. So there was no pre-programming of this. It wasn't taught how to play this game, unlike Chessmaster Chessmaster in the 1990s, where we would play against it, and every move was pre-programmed, and it would let you win or not, depending on what level you pick to play the expert or play the novice. But this game was designed to be like a human brain, where it was a platform, and it learned. It learned something, and it evolved. So they had it play itself like 10 million times against this game, and then play the best player at this game. And the observers, the scientists that were watching it, they were blown away by the moves that this machine was making. And they were saying that it was making moves that humans would not have made traditionally. And they were blown away by this, and it beat the best player at the game of Go. And I think that's just telling as to where we are and where we can ultimately go. Yeah, looking at some of these robots, we want to see is it just like a human, but where a human can do anything, any type of job, and kind of go down any rabbit hole. But if you look at AI as more of like, okay, I'm going to design an AI product for this specific sector, it doesn't have to be, a panacea or something that does everything. It's just for one specific thing, and it gets very, very good at it, and it exceeds human capabilities. That's very significant, and that can be very revolutionary. And the thing about AI displacement and AI getting smarter, I mean, you have a situation where humans have access to the internet, right? And you have access to all information that was ever put out, all historical information from the beginning of time. You can access it with a cheap internet connection. But the problem with humans is you can only take in so much information at once. But with computers can instantly update from one spot, and using this decentralized network, be updating all the computers around the world and constantly learning, constantly advancing. And I think that's really special, and something that, again, we haven't fully understood the consequences or the positives about this that are going to really evolve the nature of the job market.
Yeah, and I mean, I gotta look back at the early 2000s on MSN Messenger in those days. You could add a contact that was a robot, and being a kid who obviously didn't have very many friends, I'd spend all day, writing to this fake, this robot, this artificially intelligent robot that had answers to most things that you'd ask it, mostly just calling it names and stuff as a kid does. But all the same, it has come a long way, and now we're looking at something like, people used to say we got to worry about the government bugging our home, and now we have these like Google Homes and Alexas and all this other stuff that we set up in our home, and we're willingly putting microphones in our home. And you got to wonder, like, from the privacy perspective, how much of that information, if not all, is being sent to Google or sent to these companies. And inevitably, after what we saw with the NSA leak several years ago, is the government getting this kind of information, and should we be concerned about that?
Absolutely, and that is why we're having these conversations now, because the government is going to be able to use this information. I mean, they already know. They know right now we're doing this interview, right? They know exactly what I'm doing. They know every time I open up my phone, or the things I'm saying, the things that are being recorded. So to a certain degree, this is happening, and it's something that we should be aware of. And I'm kind of agnostic to it, in the sense that I know it's coming, so I'm going to do everything I can to just protect myself, protect my privacy in the best way possible that I can. But despite what I do, I know this is coming. I know this. People are putting Alexas in their house now. When it's available, people are going to be chipping themselves, because they're going to be sold on all of the conveniences of it. And absolutely, the risk of government intervention, or this being in the hands of the wrong people. Take a look at this. I mean, talk about chipping, our brains. And again, the reason why they want to do this is because they want to help people be more like the AI. So instead of it being AI versus humans, combining the benefits of AI and humans, that's really where this is going. It's not this humans versus artificial intelligence. It's using artificial intelligence to enhance the human mind. And so where this is going is really interesting. And I guess the concern would be, if you have this chip in your brain, they could tap into areas of your brain, like, for instance, that controls your reality. And they've already done this with certain animals. But imagine tapping into the part of your brain that controls your dreams, where you believe something is real, and sharing experiences with someone. Say I go skydiving and I want to share that experience with you. I upload that experience into your brain and tap into the neural network that controls your reality. And you fully experience the thrill of skydiving by me sharing that with you. They're talking about doing that, but consider the risk of that. If you don't know the difference between what's real and what is just, an imaginary false reality. I mean, the concern, or the real conspiratorial rabbit hole you can go down is, could you be hijacked? Could your reality be hijacked? And that's a crazy thing, right?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think the TV show Black Mirror illustrates that pretty well, actually, just talking about the many things that can go wrong and the many upsides to it as well. And, we talk about chipping. We're already seeing that in places like Sweden. We have the Aadhaar system in India, where they have retina scans. We have Australia trying to replace IDs with facial recognition. We got China with cameras on the street that catch people jaywalking, shame them on a giant screen, and then send them a text with their fine in it. I mean, it's absolutely insane how fast this is growing. With Sweden, they're putting chips in people's hands for public transportation now, and people can scan their hand to pay for their ticket. I mean, it's getting really big, and I wanted to ask you, how can we prepare for this change of the guard?
well, you can do so by, if you have a business, number one, I would say start to consider ways to make your business more efficient. And maybe small steps, but a lot of this is going to be using artificial intelligence. I mean, on a small level, that might just be using QuickBooks to do a lot of your bookkeeping, handle your invoices, handle your customer management. I mean, this is artificial intelligence to a very small degree, but that was a job of somebody that needed to spend their hours, their time, and their labor doing that. And if you're not doing that, you're going to start getting behind. So listening to content like this, where you're opening up your minds to the new arenas, the new frontiers that are coming about, this is very important. Be open to implementing technologies, because this is coming whether you like it or not. I know a lot of people are going to be skeptical about AI. A lot of people are going to be worried about it. And that's no way to enter, to face the reality of what is coming. The tsunami is coming whether we want to deal with it or not. And it's just going to depend on how strong your financial moat is. I think you can position yourselves with certain companies or maybe people that offer ways to partner with artificial intelligence companies. If you're interested in that, everyone's more than welcome to go to crushthestreet.com /live. This is a company that we have partnered with and that we're fully invested with, that exposes us to the upside that there is in artificial intelligence. And if you want more information on that, I highly recommend people to go to the website and get the information on that. But there's a lot of things that people could be doing. And again, if you want to get a job in artificial intelligence, I know there's a lot of shortages in this area. I know people are coming out of college and they're getting jobs for, $500,000, even in blockchain, right? The developers are, there's a big shortage out there. People are making couple $100,000, $500,000 because there's a shortage of developers and people to work in these new technologies. And it's all about being in front of the trend. So if you're in front of the trend and you stay nimble, I think you'll have a much better chance of not being displaced as the trends unfold. And I think that's the biggest risk for people, is that their job becomes displaced and they have nothing to switch over to. So I highly recommend people to stay nimble, listen to podcasts like this, and be prepared for what is to come.
Absolutely. A lot of people run away from new ideas, and whether they like it or not, the market should decide. And if individuals, compete with their dollar on the market, and they want to innovate this market, they want to bring it in the right direction instead of the more centralized, more daunting direction, that comes down to individuals focusing on it and doing the best they can with the information they have rather than running away, because running away isn't the answer to anything at all. And I really do hope that everyone checks out Crush the Street. Actually, you guys have had a good friend of mine, Stephen Kendall, on as well. Great work at Crush the Street. Where else can people go? There's Crush the Street on YouTube. The website, can you let people know where they can find more of your work?
Absolutely. Yeah. And first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I greatly appreciate your time. Yeah, if people want to get more information, go to crushthestreet.com. You can sign up for regular updates. If you go to crushthestreet.com/AI, you can actually get a report on artificial intelligence. And again, just opening up our eyes to how to prepare, how to move forward as things are rapidly changing. I highly recommend people do that. Or you can always wait for the government to take care of you, right? You know, there's politicians right now pushing for universal basic income and, you know, talking about ways in which the government can take care of people as jobs are being displaced by artificial intelligence. And if you want to sit back and allow the government to take care of you, there's always that as well. But if you want to be proactive and if you want to, you know, thrive in this life, I highly recommend people to stay nimble and to take action with their life.
Yeah, you must know our audience pretty well, because I don't think any of them want to be dependent on the government. So thank you very much, Kenneth, and I appreciate you talking with us, and we hope to talk with you again.
Thank you, Josh. Appreciate the time.
Like what you see here, OM? Don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so overwhelmingly demonetized by YouTube as they bring in the ADL to flag all of our content as hate speech. Also check our Bitcoin address in the description as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. And also check us out at Steemit at Josh Sigurdson, the future of social media, where you get paid in the upvote of your post in cryptocurrency, Steem that is. So don't forget to check us out there and find us at Anarchapulco 2019. I know it's early, but this is such an exciting event coming up with Ron Paul, Judge Napolitano, David Icke, Larkin Rose, Jeff Berwick, you know, all the usual characters, and it's going to be amazing. So we hope to see you there. Make sure to check the link for Anarchapulco below and use promo code WHAM to save as much as 15% on your tickets. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.